Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name's Joe. In this video we will be doing a playthrough of the game Vive L'Empereur. This is a solitaire war game of the Battle of Waterloo. It is designed by Hermann Luttmann and published by Blue Panther Games. Technically this is the second edition. The first one was done by White Dog Games. That one is hard to find. I don't know that they printed a whole ton of those, but this is the second edition. This is the current version. I just picked it up not too long ago. This is part of my November with the Emperor series, where we're looking at some Napoleonic games. I am a Napoleonic noob. Not a whole lot of Napoleonics under my belt for sure. So I will be playing, as the game system is playing the Anglo-Allied / Prussian forces, I of course will be playing as the French. And I can console myself that Napoleon lost this battle historically, so it would be hard, probably not impossible, but difficult for me to do worse. Anyway, we've got things set up here. So you can see here, this is the Allied Coalition marker box. So there are things that, effects that the Allies can get during the game. They'll be denoted by being in this box. Typically, whatever gets in there gets pulled out at the end of the turn, except for this reverse slope deployment, which is active for the first 2 turns, so you don't pull it at the end of turn 1, you pull it at the end of turn 2, and that's what this marker is here to remind me of. So the first thing we are going to do after that is we put our activation kits into the cup. If you've played any of Hermann Luttmann's other games, you're probably familiar with the chit pull stuff. He uses that mechanism in a lot of his games. It works very well. Gives you some nice fog of war because you don't know when you are going to be able to activate your units, so you have to kind of think on the fly and make changes to your plans, which of course in a war game is very, very effective because very few things go according to plan in combat. Enough waxing philosophical on that kind of stuff. The game begins randomly due to the rain and wet ground. We roll a die on game turn number 1, which is 9 a.m. You can kind of see that right here, hopefully. So we're going to roll a die. If we roll a 5 or a 6, the game begins immediately. If not, we roll again, but we had a +1. For each turn after turn 1, until a 5 or 6 is rolled, the game will begin with that game turn. And I'm going to roll it, and we got a 1, so that's a no for that start. So we'll go here to 2. And that's also, so that would have been actually a 2, 1 + 1. We'll roll again. 4 + 3 is 7, so we are starting on turn 3. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to move this down. I'm going to play that I will, just because why not, right? I'm assuming that that's what, it's like the second turn of the game that you're playing, not like they don't get it because the battle started at 11 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. So we'll do that. So after you do that, it's time to start drawing chits. So you draw your chits out of here. There are a couple of ones that are a little bit different. And we draw this is an Anglo-Allied activation chit. Come on now. There we go. And we flip her over. And it is for the Prince of Orange. So once you pull this out, you would put it in the used box here at the bottom. The bottom of the board is probably hidden, is somewhat cut off, only because that's just how I laid it out. There really isn't that much down here. You can see there's a little bit down there, but thought it would be a little bit more useful to see the top more than the bottom. Now you can see kind of both are a little bit off. You can't see the words for the Allied Coalition. You can't see the top hexes. There is a hex right here that does have a red star on it. As you can see right there, that is a victory hex. That the French score victory points for holding, which is a tall order. So anyway, we pulled the Prince of Orange, right? So his forces are here. They're the orange color, and marked with a 1. You can see he's the first corps, I guess. We got here, 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 and here. Okay, they're all infantry. The units are kind of denoted by the icon on them. This is an infantry unit. You can see kind of the soldiers there with their bayoneted rifles or bayoneted muskets. So the next thing you have to do is you have to roll on the chart there is a handy dandy Anglo-Allied Prussian Corps activation table that you use. And so we roll 2 dice. I'm going to use the red as the first digit and the blue as the second digit. And we get a 34. So a 34 is advance. Units will move closer to the French and attempt to engage them. Anglo-Allied infantry, this whole group is infantry, will move adjacent to the nearest battle-worn French unit that is 2 hexes away. If there are no such eligible French units, which there are not, the Anglo-Allied infantry unit conducts a bombardment combat at the nearest French unit instead of moving. So since there are no battle-worn units, because we just started, that guy is not in range to fire. Bombardment fire is 3 hexes. So our first eligible unit would be Cook here. 1, 2, 3. He can shoot at Foy. So the way fire combat works with bombardment combat, rather, is the middle number, the 3 on this guy, indicates that's how many dice he gets to roll. Now there are some effects. They're both on ridges, so there's no issue with line of sight. They can see each other perfectly fine. It's clear. There's nothing that's going to interfere with line of sight. So he's going to shoot at him, basically. So I'm going to roll 3 red dice, and this will be bombardment combat. And we rolled a 4, a 2, a 4, and a 5. So the way this works is if you roll equal to the target value, and the target value for open terrain, which is what Foy is in, is 4. Now it can be a little higher than that. If it's woods and buildings, it's a 5. Walled buildings, and if it's a detachment like Hougemont here, that's actually going to be a 6. But anybody else in these boxes, these are kind of walled, good defensive positions, but basically hard, I don't want to say hardened, but buildings that provide good cover. And these are obviously smaller units. These guys would get a 6, but if Cook himself was in there, he'd get a 5. So basically, if you roll above the target number, it's a hit. If you roll the same as the target number, it's a partial success, which means that it's like half a hit. So if you had 2 4s, if this was a 4 along with that 4, that would add up to 1 hit. The 5, of course, is a hit. So when they get a hit, there's multiple steps to eliminate a unit, and actually I don't think you ever actually eliminate them. They just start retreating. So what happens here is we take Foy and we put a shaken marker under him, and you can see it says shaken, and then in parentheses -1 ER. The ER is a LAN rating, which is kind of like morale. You have a LAN checks that you would have to pass, but anyway, he has taken a hit, so he's going to go there. So now Cook is done. We go to Kielmanzega here. He can fire 1, 2, 3. He cannot fire because he's too far away. Alton is also too far away from everybody. By land, however, can fire at Donzela here. 1, 2, 3. So again, his firepower is only a 1. So he only gets 1 die. So we roll our 1 die, and he got a 6, which is a hit. So I didn't put plexi or anything on this map. This is a paper map. I don't like plexi when I'm doing video because it causes a glare. So I have to remember to be a little bit more careful. If I was just playing, I would probably put plexi on it just to hold it in place, and I wouldn't have to worry about the glare. Then we have Saxe Weimar over here. 1, 2, 3. He can fire at Keogh. He can also fire at Mâconnais, but these two are kind of the same. They're both 424 infantry. So we'll just say Keogh here, because he's right across from him. He only gets to roll 1 die as well. And he rolled a 3, so that's nothing. So that's the end of the activation. We put the prince's marker here in the box, and we draw our next marker out, and we get a French Corps activation, and this is Drouot, and the Imperial Guard. So most of the units in here are divisions. The Imperial Guard, however, are brigades, so they can stack. They're considered small units. Small units can stack. So small units, I believe, have kind of like a little dot next to their, like here and here. I think that's what these mean. I know for a fact, because I read it in the rules, that these guys are brigades, so they can stack. 2. And you can always pass through, but you can't end your movement, overstacked. So these guys can do any one of several actions. And those possible actions are movement, bombardment, which we just saw, close combat, which basically is kind of like an assault, but you have to start adjacent to the enemy. So I couldn't, because the infantry can move 2 hexes, I couldn't take Donzelot here and go 1, 2, and then assault. You would have to go 1, 2, wait a turn, and then assault. Now, these guys already fired, but these other ones that are around them did not. So it's a little bit risky to push, and he's shaken anyway. So it's a little bit iffy to try and move him up there. I'll probably end up firing, is what I'll probably end up doing. But so you have movement, bombardment, close combat, which, as I said, is basically you move up and you do an assault, or if you have cavalry, it's a cavalry charge. Rallying is the other option. So the way rallies work is you don't have to roll or anything for it. You just take, like if I wanted to rally Donzelot, you basically can take a step, recover a step, essentially. So he's back to full power, but now that's all I can do with him. They get 1 unit activation each. So I'm going to put him in the box here. Now, so he's done. We can do something with him. Let's have him fire. And we'll have him fire at Picton here, right across the way. And again, he's not in any kind of beneficial terrain. They're both on the ridge, so they can see each other perfectly fine. He's got a firepower of, who was I firing with? Jacquinot. He's only got a firepower of 1. This is basically like the attached artillery pieces to the division. He's light cavalry, which means he could move 4. But again, the British are right here. I mean, he could just move there. The problem then is he's subject to close combat from these 2 guys. Not from Bylant, because Bylant already went. The other thing you can do is you can say, I'm going to hold this, and just hold it, and then activate it later. But we'll get into some of the other things you can do here in a bit. So right now, we're just going to fire. He gets 1 die. He rolls a 2. No effect. Now, Dessalles is a artillery unit. And the H, it means heavy. So what the H really buys you is extended range. Artillery can fire out to 3 hexes, but heavy artillery can fire out to 4 hexes. So I could fire at multiple places here pretty much. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. He could fire at Papalot. He could fire at Vinca. He could fire at Lambert, Picton, Bylant. He's got kind of a wide variety. So we'll just fire at Lambert because he's he's straight ahead, and these guys are kind of similar. Their Elan rating is higher. Maybe we'll fire at Picton. So he's going to roll 3 dice. Again, there's no modifiers. And we got 1 half hit. So that, again, is nothing. We'll fire with Dorette. We'll have him fire at Vinca here. And he got nothing as well. Marconier, he'll fire at Vinca as well and get nothing. This is a whole lot of nothing here. Now I'm going to take Keogh here and I'm going to move him there with an eye towards taking Papalot in the next turn. So we finished Drouot's activation. We move on. We get another French corps. This one is Kellerman, the 3rd Cavalry, which is right here, these 2 guys. So cavalry, heavy cavalry, which is what both of these guys are, can move 3 hexes. Infantry 2, heavy cavalry 3, or infantry and artillery 2, heavy cavalry 3, light cavalry 4. So let's move these guys out. 1, 2, 3. We're going to bring them around the wing here, right? Around the flank. 1, 2, 3. Just do that. That's it. They're done. Next chit is another French. This one is Lobau in the 6th Corps. The 6th Corps is right here. These 3 guys right there. So they have a light cavalry and 2 infantry. So we'll move, the light cavalry can move up to 4. So let's just say we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if we can do something about that artillery there. And then Simmer can move 2, and Jeannin can move 2 as well. And that's the end of Lobau's activation. So you see things can move fairly quickly. And we get another French, which means we're going to get a bunch of allies. Now this is the Napoleon one. Now Napoleon can do some special stuff. I'm going to hold this because you're allowed to hold it. So I'm going to hold this and you can use it later. So I'm just going to hold that for now, and we're going to go pull another chit here. It's another French. Like I said, all the allies are going to go back to back after all the French go. So this is Milord, the 4th Cavalry, which are these 2 right here. Wait a minute. Did I screw up and not move the Imperial Guard? Didn't I pull Drouot? What did I move with him? Because all my Imperial Guard's right here. You know what? I screwed up. Screwed up. Drouot, I used these guys and not these guys. So, because this is the Imperial Guard, and Drouot is the commander of the Imperial Guard. Screwed that up. Screwed it up. So we're going to assume, I'm going to swap it is what I'm going to do. This way I'll remember. D'Erlon here, 1st Corps. We'll put him there. We'll put Drouot back in the cup. That way it's at least correct. Now 4th Cavalry here. They're both heavy. It means 3. 1, 2, 3. Move him here. And 1, 2, 3. We'll move him there. Okay. So we'll use our cavalry. Now you can only cross rivers, like we have a river here. You can only cross rivers on a road. So I can't like come out here and cross the river. You can't do it. You have to cross at Frischemont there. All right, so let's pull our next chit out. And we get the Wellington Commander activation. Okay, so Old Nosy gets to roll on his own table, which is right here. It's on the... So here's the Old Nosy table. So again, you roll 2 dice. We'll roll a red and a blue. Red for the first digit. It's a 55, so that didn't even matter. So you get Scum of the Earth. Place the Scum of the Earth marker in the Allied Condition box. So the Scum of the Earth is right here. And they get this is a -1 Elan rating. So again, this only lasts until the end of the turn. All of the British infantry units only, including Hougemont and La Haye Saint detachment units, have their ER reduced by 1. That was Old Nosy. And we move back to pulling chits out, and we get the Hill 2nd Corps activation. So 2nd Corps is these purple guys. So again, we roll and we get a 16, and a 16 is open fire at largest target. Units issue bombardment combat at the largest SP French unit in range and line of sight. Okay, so this time we can have some fire, maybe. 1, 2, 3, maybe not. 1, 2, 3, no. No, not, they can't fire either. So for now, that means nothing happens there. We move on. Now we get the Imperial Guard here. So we have heavy cavalry. And I am going to send this guy here. 1, 2, 3. These guys will move 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, and these guys will go 1, 2, 3. And I guess they'll stop there and they'll only move 3. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so now that's the end of that. We go back here. We're going to pull, I would think we'll pull, so we pulled the Wellington Reserve Corps activation. So he's the commander of the Reserve Corps, which are all the red units. So again, we roll our 2 dice. And we get a 45. So a 45 is rally around the colors. Units will regroup and harass French forces. Each unit with a shaken or disrupted marker will rally. We don't have any, I don't believe. I don't think anybody hit. When we were shooting at the British, I don't think we hit anybody. Units that do not have a marker and are within range and line of sight of a French unit will conduct bombardment combat targeting the French unit closest to a victory point hex. If more than one unit qualifies, it will target the nearest unit. Other units do nothing. So the red guys that are within 3 hexes of the French can shoot at them, basically, is what that means. So there's a few of these. Now, as far as being closest to a victory point hex, we have one here. I don't think any of these ridge hexes. So I think this guy is our first one. Although he could, well, he can't fire over the hill. He doesn't have line of sight. He does have line of sight to Simmer, and Simmer is closest, 1, 2, 3, and in range to La High Saint here, which is a victory point hex. So he will fire at Simmer. It's a 3. So we'll take our 3 red dice. And he gets 2 hits. So what that does is you get Shaken, and on the other side of Shaken is Disrupted, which represents the second level of hit, the second hit. So Simmer is now disrupted. Now the second reserve is going to fire at him as well, because again, he's the closest. Same, oh, he only gets 2 dice. Oh my goodness, and he got 2 as well. So now he gets Battle Worn and Shaken. So things are getting kind of bad here on the French side. Now we'll go to Picton. He can shoot here. So he will. He gets 2 dice as well. A 1 and a 3, so that's nothing. Lambert will shoot at the Saal. Actually, 1, 2, 3. He's going to shoot here, actually. And that's nothing, because that's a half a hit. And then Vinca can shoot here as well. He gets 1. And he rolled a 6, so that is a hit. So he gets a Shaken. So that was a pretty effective turn there for the Wellington Reserve Corps. And now we get the Uxbridge CC activation. So the CC units are colored green right here. They're all cavalry, I believe. Well, that's not. That's horse artillery. But basically cavalry, right? It's the cavalry corps. So we again roll a red and a blue. We get a 34. A 34 is this advance. So you look at the cavalry in this case, although we do have an artillery as well, right there. So cavalry units starting within 2 hexes of a French unit conduct a cavalry charge against the nearest such unit, if possible. If not possible, they conduct bombardment combat against that unit instead. If neither is possible, they move towards the nearest French unit that they could be eligible to charge. Well, they're back of line, so they don't really have anybody they can charge right now. But they can move up. So light cavalry can move 4. 1, 2, 3. So they can't charge because they're too far away, but they can move up towards somebody they could charge. 1, 2, 3. This costs extra because, and I forgot over here as well, these guys are going to be back 1 because they have to go over the ridge here. Because the ridge adds 1, it counts as 2 hexes when you go up onto a ridge. So this guy, that would be 1, 2, 3. We'll go here 4 because he can't stop here. I don't think they might be able to, but I'm not sure. So we'll just leave him there for now. So that's the end of that one. We have 3 chits left in the cup. And we get the last French unit, which is Riel, which is the 2nd Corps, which are these guys right here. So the first thing we'll do is we'll rally Foy. Then we will have Peltier fire at our reserve cannon here. He gets 3. He's heavy, so he could do 4, but we're just going to shoot at this guy right here. And we get a 6. So that's 1 hit. A 4 would be a half a hit. So he's going to get a Shaken. And we move to, these are done. Then we've got Let's move him. Let's move him here. And we're going to move Jerome 1, 2. And we're going to move Bachelou. Let's move him there. So he could provide fire support. The idea is we're going to try to take this the next turn. Actually, I think I just blew it because the other French is probably the other Napoleon counter, and I didn't use my Napoleon. So this is detachments activation. So the way detachment activations work, they have their own little special section. The largest Hougoumont, which is this one, right? So the largest SP French unit takes, adjacent to the Hougoumont, takes an Elan test. If passed, there is no effect. If fails, it takes a step loss. So that's Jerome. So we're going to have to roll for Jerome. He'll need a 4 or less to pass, and he gets a 5. Oh boy. All right. Well, whatever. La Haye Saint, which is here. There's nobody adjacent. And then Papillote, if no French unit's adjacent, detachment will rally. Well, there is an adjacent unit, and he doesn't need to rally. So that's the end of that. And now I pull my Napoleon, my second Napoleon one out. And I'm going to do a Napoleon action because I can. So, Le Petit Caporal here. Play during a French corps activation, so I can't do that. The Son of Austerlitz. Pick any hex, even an empty one, and perform a special rally on up to 3 units who are not adjacent to an enemy unit and who are in or adjacent to the chosen rally hex. So I could have possibly rallied him, but I can't. I can, however, rally Simmer, so I will. So we'll just do that. And I don't think I get to do back-to-back. Like I have this one held. You're supposed to do it before activation. So I kind of screwed this up, is what I'm saying here. But that would be the end of the turn. The cup is empty. All of these units will go back. The reverse slope stays. The British infantry -1 ER would go out. And then all of these would go back in the cup. And that is the end of the first turn. We move the turn marker. Now we know at the end of this turn, the reverse slope deployment goes away. So if you're wondering what the reverse slope deployment is, it means that if they're on a ridge hex with a crest, their target value is actually a 5. And I forgot about that, and there were a few times that it probably was appropriate. I think I rolled. Did I roll a 5 here? I probably did, and I think this guy therefore should not have a shaken marker, so we'll just pull that off. Actually, no, I rolled a 5 and a 4 there, so he would. I think it was a 5 and a 4 and a 1 or a 2 or something. So he's going to have a shaken marker, I'm pretty sure. Now I'll find out for sure when I look at this while I'm editing it. And hopefully I didn't screw it up. If I did, I'll put a little Klingon subtitle up there for you so you'll know. So that'll come off after this. And then it can be activated in the old nosy table. So when we pull Wellington's commander counter, we can see it again later on in the game. So let's pull a chit out. We get a French corps activation. It is Kellerman, 3rd Cavalry. And that's these guys over here. So you know that if they're 2 away, they can do a charge. Since they're not, they're both heavy, so they can move 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. So now we're in position where we can maybe charge Mitchell next turn. We're also in a position where we can get shot at, but that's how it works. You shoot at the enemy, they shoot back at you. So let's pull another chit here. And we get Milord in the 4th C, so we get a bunch of cavalry going here. So now we know we can go 1, 2, 3. We're now adjacent to him. Well, he was here, right? 1, 2. Yeah, he still can't. He can't do that either, actually. He's got to stop there. And then he'll move here because he can't move there because he's in the way. He can't move here because this costs 2 hexes to move up. basically. So there's no like terrain movement chart. It's just that if you're going upslope or into woods, it increases the cost of the hex to basically be 2 hexes and count as 2 hexes moved or instead of 1. So that's that one. Now we move on, pull another chit out. And I'm on a streak of pulling the same side. Ah, it's Napoleon Commander activation. We will hold this. Yeah, that's good enough. We'll hold it. And we'll pull another one. Whoops. That one fell out, so we'll use that one. This one is the Allies, and it is detachments. So again, we have to do a test on Jerome. This time he passes. And then that has no effect, and that has no effect. So now we go back to here, pull something else out. Now the French Corps, it is Drouot, the Imperial Guard. All right, so let's see. Let's do a cavalry charge with Guillot here, right? We can go right there. I think it's 1-2 hexes away, but he's on a slope, which brings that into play as well. All right, so Guillot is going to attack. He's going to charge. So when he gets here, he has to roll his Elan, which is a 6. So if he rolls a 6, we then have to roll again. And if it's a 4, 5, or 6, it fails. If it's a 1, 2, 3, it passes. Roll a 3, so he passes. So now he goes into this hex. He's got he's heavy cavalry, and he gets 4, but he gets an additional 2 dice. So he actually gets to roll all 6 dice. He gets to roll 6 dice. Now, reverse slope is still in effect, so we do need a 5. Oh my goodness. That's no successes for Guillot. Now, the right flank here gets to roll as well, and he has 5 dice. So we'll roll 5 dice for him. The 3 white, or 3 red rather, and the 2 blue. And he got 2.5 successes. So he has to retreat back, and he gets a disrupted as well. Things are not going well for the French here. All right, so now we'll move our infantry 1, 2, and then we'll move these guys as well. 2, these guys 2, and these are both heavy artillery. And so what we're going to do here, they have a range of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that would be, let's do Ponsonby over here. And I believe he started in battle-worn condition. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna attack him, and these guys can both fire at the same time, I think. Maybe not. Well, they roll 6 dice anyway. So he's in open terrain, and that is 1 hit. So he's at least shaken, and now we'll roll for the second cannon. And that is 1, 2, and 2 4s makes 3. That's 4 total hits. He's already battle worn. So the first hit would shake, second would disrupt, third and fourth would cause a retreat. So when you have to retreat, you must increase the distance from the cause of the retreat. It cannot move through an enemy unit or end overstacked. If it would end overstack, it instead continues retreating until a legal hex. Can't enter the same hex more than once. If it moves adjacent to an enemy unit, it loses a step. Anglo-Allied units must retreat north and or northwest. So this would be north, I guess. So I think he has to retreat 2 hexes, if I remember correctly. 6 step, unit remains battle and disrupted, retreats 2 hexes with each step loss. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's got to retreat 4 hexes, and he's disrupted. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so that was kind of worthwhile, and that's the end of the Imperial Guard. Now we will pull another chit. It is low bow, 6th Corps, and that will, this is here, 6th Corps, right here. Let's do this. 1, 2. We'll go here. I don't love that move, but do what you got to do, right? All right. Prince of Orange. Prince of Orange. So we know that's this guy right here. So let's roll and see what his men are going to do. 64. 64 is a bad day for Napoleon. Remove one of the Napoleon markers from play. Start with a held marker, which I have. So that's going to get removed. And that stays that way. If you lose both, then when that comes up again, you actually get one back. But yeah, so bad day for Napoleon. That's fantastic. The only bright side to that is that counts as the unit's action. Now we get D'Erlon with the 1st Corps, which is right here. So let's do a close combat right here. So they are attacking a detachment, so this will be a good example of this particular part of the game. So close combat, we have to roll for his elan first, so we'll roll. Needs a 4 or less. Got a 2, so that's good. Okay, so basically they're going to get like a 6 for defending, I believe. So the defending unit can have its target number increased during the close combat if any of the following apply. What did I roll for the morale? Did I roll a 2? I think I did. So we get a bonus, I think, for passing by 2. Plus 1 for enfilade for each friendly unit adjacent up to a maximum of 2. So he's going to get 6 dice because we do have 2 adjacent units. So he's going to get 6 dice. And he's going to get a, well, I guess it doesn't matter. Well, he would be 7 dice. Downhill, no. Target number is the unit's elan rating. So his elan is a 4. He's going to get a +2 for being in the heavy walled building here. Heavy cover. So we need a 6 to inflict hits. And we did get one. We got a 6. So that is going to inflict a shake-in on this guy. So that was worthwhile. And now he gets to roll. And he only gets to roll 1. And he needs a 4. And he got 1. But that's only a half a hit. So, oh, I think that means that he doesn't get a hit because we only rolled 1 6. That would have been a half a hit as well. That's a no harm, no foul kind of situation right there. So now we're going to take Marcognac, and I'm just going to actually, yeah, I'm going to rally him. Why not? We'll move actually, no, let's fire. In fact, let's fire with the cannon first, right here. It's heavy. That doesn't matter in this instance, but it's 3. Their target value is a 4, and we got 2 4s, which is 1 hit. So that is 1 hit on him. Now we'll have direct fire at him as well. He only gets 2 dice, and he rolled 1 4, which is not good enough. Jacquinot here. Let's have him charge, because why not? So, again, he'll move here. He has to roll his elan test, needs a 5, gets a 2. So he's going to get an extra die for that. So he's going to have 4 dice. He is light cavalry, so he doesn't get a bonus. Oh, I forgot to do I think he gets an additional step loss, actually, because for the blown horses. I forgot to apply that before. after you do a charge, you take a step loss for blown horses. So we're going to roll our 4 dice here. And we got 3 5s. So that's 3 hits. Now we got to roll for the British. They get to roll 3 dice. They also get a couple hits. They get 1 hit actually because it matches the number. So that makes him shaken, which is going to become disrupted because of the blown thing here. Now we get, he had 3 hits. He already had 1, so that's a total of 4. So that is shaken and reduced. He has to roll now to see if he retreats. I forgot to do this before, but he has to beat his Elan number, which he equals. So I think that means he does not have to. The losing unit must retreat 2 hexes, so he's got to go back here, I guess. The winner remains in the hex, so he gets to go there. The winner must retreat normally if it becomes battle worn, which it did not. I think. Oh, Donzelot hasn't gone yet. So we'll move him up as well. We'll go 1. I'm gonna go there. See if the Brits have the stones to assault us here. We're going to find out right now because we got Wellington. Wellington's Reserve Corps, so the red boys here. So we'll roll. And we got a 22, and let's see what a 22 is. What these lobster backs are going to do here. Open fire at largest target. Units issue bombardment combat at the largest SP French unit in range and line of sight. So we'll start over here. Again, they can't do anything. They can't do anything because of the... Well, they're out of range, and they are on the other side of... They don't have line of sight. These guys can fire. So they get 3. The largest unit in range. I guess that's... Largest unit in range and line of sight. So his range is 3. 1, 2, 3. And so he's kind of looking 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. I think it's this one. So he's going to fire at Foy with 3 dice. And he got 1 hit and 1 half hit. So that's going to be a shaken for Foy. And now we move on to this one. He also can shoot 3. 1, 2, 3. Well, 1, 2, 3. He's going to shoot at Donzelot. And he also gets a hit. I seem to roll better for the British than I do for the French, or maybe that's just my impression because I'm playing as the French. Picton, so he's obviously going to fire here. He only gets 2 dice. He gets a hit as well. And now Lambert is going to also take a shot at Donzelot. Why not? And he does not get a hit. Well, he does, but it's only a half. Partial success. Vinca, same thing. He'll shoot at Donzelot as well. And that's 2 hits. 2 hits. So disrupted, he's going to get battle worn and shaken. Battle worn and shaken. Things are not off to a rip-roaring start here for the French, are they? All right, who we got now? Second Corps under Hill. That's these boys over here. Let's roll. We got a 64, which is going to be a bad day for Napoleon. So he's not I'm not holding one here, so I got to find it in the cup and pull it out. Here it is. So now we have no Napoleon activation chits. And we have 3 left, one of which is Wellington. And that's what we got, Wellington. So we're going to roll for Old Nosy here on the Old Nosy table. And we get a 63, which is a bad day for... Oh, it's not. It's scum of the earth. So we'll put our Scum of the Earth in here, which means they get a -1 for their Elan checks if we need to make any. 2 chits left, 1 for each side. We get the French, Riel, second corps. And so now we get to try to do our assault here. So we'll start with Jerome. He's got a -1 on his Elan because he's shaken. So he needs to roll a 3 or less. And he rolled a 2. So he gets to go for it. There are 6. We get 7 dice. So I'm going to roll 6 and then I'll roll an additional 1. We need 6s for partial successes. We got 2 partial successes, so that results in 1 hit. And we've got 1 more die to roll, but I'm not even going to roll it because it won't matter. I would need a third 6 to pair it up with, and I don't have one. So he gets a shaken. So that helps because that reduces his Elan. Now, they don't retreat when they lose, although he gets to fire here. So let me do that first. So his Elan's a 3. Ooh, that's tough. Poor Jerome. So they didn't actually win that combat. They lost it. So now he has to retreat, I think. The losing unit retreats 2 hexes. Yep, so he has to retreat. So he'll go here, I guess. I'm assuming that's 1, 2, or 1, 2 this way maybe. So he's there. Now we'll do. Let's do fire with Waterloo first. See if we can reduce him maybe. We need 6s, and we didn't get them. And now we'll do a charge here. So he needs a 5 or less. Gets a 6, so that fails. So when they fail, they just failed. Now we've got, shoot, heavy. I should have rolled this first. We'll roll that now. 3 away, no damage. Foy, we'll just recover him. And that ends that. Now the last thing in here is Uxbridge with the Cavalry Corps. And so let's roll for that. Get a 35. And a 35 is an advance. So they can do a charge if they're within 2 hexes. So the Cavalry Corps are these guys. So they can do a charge. So we've got a couple that can do stuff here. Several. He can. That's artillery. They can all do a cavalry charge. We'll start here with right flank. Okay, so first thing we need to do is roll for the close to contact. Rolls a 3, so that works. His Elan is a 4. Okay, so he's in open terrain, so that's not going to do him any good. His Elan is a 4, so that will be the 2 hit number. He's got a 5, and he is light cavalry, not heavy cavalry. So he's going to roll 5 dice. Needs a 4 or greater. 5 or a 6 is a straight up success. 4 would be a partial success. We get 1, 2 4s, 2 5s, and a 6. So 3 full hits, and 2 4s equals another hit. So that's 4 hits. Wow, 4 hits. Okay, so before we do that, 4 hits is going to basically, it's going to make him retreat a whole lot of distance here. He gets to roll 3 dice, and he needs a 4 to hit as well. And he gets a 6 and a 5, so that'll actually be 2 hits. So they're still going to lose, but these guys will be disrupted. And they get, he's also disrupted, and also has to retreat 4 hexes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's pretty bad there. Move on to Somerset. So he will go, is he going to attack this one here? Why not? So he'll go 1, 2. So he has a 6, so basically he's going to pass this test, of course. And he passed by a 2, which gives him an extra attack dice, or an extra attack die. He passed his close to combat check by 2, which also gives him 2 dice. So he gets 2 dice for the heavy cavalry, which makes it 5. The Elan test I don't think actually matters. So he's in this hex here. Now we're attacking infantry. So they get to check their to the infantry square. So basically you take an Elan test. Both of these guys are 6s, so they're pretty much going to pass unless they roll a 6. I'm going to roll them together. And one rolled a 6, which is why I shouldn't have rolled them together. So now we'll roll it again. And we need a 1, 2, or 3 and get a 1. So he passed. They both pass, which means that they get their infantry square, and their Elan is an 8. But it just means really that they're a 6 still. So they need a 6 to hit. So he's going to have 5 dice, and he needs a 6 to hit. And he gets none. So no hits. Now they get to do theirs. It's the same thing. He's also a 6. They get 2, 5, I guess. I'm just going to roll 5. And they also don't do anything. So no harm, no foul, I guess. No winner, no loser. We have this guy right here. That's artillery. Then we have these 2. So we'll do this. Same thing. His Elan is a... Well, you check his Elan here. So that's a 3. Rolled a 6, so he fails. So he's just going to go back. Now this one is also a 3. Rolls a 3. So he's actually successful. So he made it. This one did not. So he's got 5. He's light cavalry. So he's going to have 5 dice. He's going to need a 4 or better. We do have to roll for their Elan. So to see if they form square. They do. So they now need a 6. So he's going to roll 5 dice, needs a 6, gets no 6s. Now they will attack. They need a 3, and they have 3 dice to roll. And they got 2 hits. 2 hits. So that's going to result in him being disrupted and having to retreat 4 hexes, I guess. Because he took two steps. Yeah, I guess it's actually only 2 hexes. So he's going to have to be there. Well, he would be here, I guess. So let's do it this way. And he wins. Now we move on. We have Vandalore here, who's going to have to roll a 2. And he does. So now he's going to attack here. Now, Jacquinot has a 5. He also gets a -1 on his SP and his ER, his Elan. So he needs to roll a 4. But he is also cavalry, so we're just going to roll the attack. So he gets 2 dice. Vandalore gets 2 dice, does 1 hit because his ER is a 4. So he's going to be battle worn after this. And now he gets to roll. He gets 2 dice as well because he's down 1 SP. Needs to roll a 3 or better. Rolls a 5, so he also gets a hit. So Vandalore gets shaken. They both got a hit. He's now battle worn. And he's battle worn and shaken. They both have a hit. Actually, he was already shaken. So he did pass his thing. He's disrupted now. So if it's tied, the defending unit wins the combat. So he's going to go back to his original hex. Okay. And our last one is Vivian. He needs a 4. Gets a 2, so that's good. Now he's going to attack here. They're infantry. He's going uphill. They get a 4. Roll a 1, so they're actually a 6. So he's going to roll 3 dice, needs 6s, and gets 1, which is just a partial success. Now the defenders will roll. They have a 4, So they are a 4. He rolls 1 hit and 1/2 hit. So he is shaken and has to retreat. So he goes back to that hex. And that is the end of the turn and the end of the video. So we would move to the next turn. This would come out and this would come out. Scum of the Earth would also come out. All of our units here. This goes over here. All of these guys will go back in the cup. The French have no Napoleon commander activation shits. But yeah, so that is the end of that turn. Now you can see here on the turn track, eventually you get down here, the last 3 turns, that's when the Prussians show up, which is really going to make things even more difficult for the French. I feel like so far, trending towards the Allies winning this thing. This is a tough one from the French side. It just is. So, challenging game. I hope I didn't make too many mistakes. I'm sure I screwed some stuff up. And hopefully, I know Herman will probably watch. Fred will probably watch. They're good about commenting. They may clear up some misunderstandings here, things I did incorrectly or whatever. We'll see how things go. Whether or not I do a second part, only because it's kind of diminishing returns sometimes when you do multiple videos. Hopefully 2 full turns is enough for everybody to get a good flavor of the game. It's a lot of fun. I think if you like the Blind Sword system or Black Swan, etc., the other Hermann Luttmann games with chit pull activation, this is very much in that same vein. It's obviously a very famous battle. I think the table, using the tables for the Allies works. And yeah, I mean, it's a good game. It's relatively inexpensive. You do get these counters. If you're familiar with Blue Panther, they're kind of the standard style, but they seem to be a little larger than usual, which is kind of nice. Nice and easy to read. They're very sturdy. I mean, these are sturdy counters. And they look clean. I mean, I don't know if you could clip the corners on these things because they are, like I said, these are really sturdy. But yeah, component-wise, very nice. I would love to have the canvas map, which I don't, because I really like the canvas maps from Blue Panther. But anyway, I'm not going to babble any longer. I do like the game. I recommend the game. That's the bottom line. Whether I do another video or not, we'll see how things go. But in the meantime, that's going to do it. I'm Joe. This has been Hexed Encountered. As always, if like I said, questions, comments, always welcome. And if you would, consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing to help my channel grow. That would be greatly appreciated. But either way, I just hope you enjoyed, and we'll come back and watch something else down the road. But either way, that's it. The video's over. As always, I just want to wish everyone some happy gaming.